Welcome to part 7, the final episode in our Working with Strings series. Most of the time, we're going to be working with a column in a data frame, so we'll combine the string detect with the filter command. So watch this. I'm first going to read in the Riverside Elementary data that has a first name, last name, gender, teacher, grade, and score. If I look at the tibble for this, you can get a better idea of what that all looks like. Looks like we have student name, gender, who the teacher is, the grade, and the score. So let's get all the students from Paul Rich's class. He's one of the teachers you can see down here. So I'm going to detect Rich. Now notice that whoever entered the data was not consistent. Rich always appears, but here someone entered Mr. Rich, someone entered P. Rich, someone entered Paul Rich. So I'm going to do a string detect to see if I can detect in the teacher variable the name Rich and then get the students who are in Paul Rich's class. And there you go. Notice that the teacher is listed differently, but it's the same teacher, and we've now found all 27 students that are in his class. Let's suppose that we would like to replace all the variations of Paul Rich with a single representation, which would be a good idea. We're going to take the teacher variable, we're going to subset on the string detect, and we're going to replace everywhere we see a Rich, we're going to replace with Paul Rich. So now let's look at the students in Paul Rich's class. Isn't that much more pretty? We have here Paul Rich as the teacher for all of those students. So we've changed the way it looks in the actual data. Of course, I would want to write this to a file at some point as well. We can use the string replace and string replace all to replace a character with a different character. Using string replace will replace the first match pattern, while string replace all will replace all matched patterns. So let's look at a vector. Let's say that they were ID numbers, and we'll have number 254, 331, so forth. Okay, so here are our ID numbers. You can see it down here in the environment, these three. So what I want to do is replace the hashtag with nothing. So these are two quotes with nothing between them. And look what I get. I get the string now has only the numbers, not the hashtag. In this next part, I'm trying to replace the period with a hyphen. So let's watch what happens and tell me if you can explain to me what happened. What happened there? Why do I have a bunch of hyphens? Does anyone know? Of course, if we were together in class, I'd wait for someone to answer. Go ahead, say it out loud. I think some of you've got it. The period is a meta character, and the period represents any character. So every single character here got replaced with a hyphen. How would we correct the problem? Go ahead, again, say it out loud. I think you got it. That's right. We would have to put two backward slashes in front of the period. So let's try that. That's what we wanted. We can split strings with the string split function. In this example, I want to separate first and last names. Notice that the result is a list. There are the student names. And now here's the string split, and I'm splitting based upon the space. So that's why I have between quotes one space. And here's the names list. Let me look at the class to verify that's indeed a list. Can we fix that? And can we fix it without a loop using one of the family members of the apply family? Yes, we can. If we take sapply and then for the names list, use a function. Now you might look at this and say, that doesn't look like a function to me. Yes, it does. You know that. It's a subsetting function. And so if we subset the first element of each list, that will give us our first names, and we can put it in a first names vector. There they are. And do it again for the second element, and that gives us the last names. Sometimes you might have extra white space after a word that you don't want, and you can use string trim. It can trim white space from the left side, the right side, or both sides. So here, I'm taking ID numbers. Notice that I have some right side space here. So I'm going to trim from the right, and all the spaces are removed. Well, that's it. There's much more that we could look at, but I'm hopeful that I have given you the main elements that you're going to need for your work. If not, remember to look in the cheat sheet for information about what else is available. You might not be able to determine exactly from the cheat sheet how to work it, but it might give you an idea of what's available, and then you can do a web search and look it up. I'm also available not only on Blackboard for the rest of the semester, but also just an email away if you need help.